The last activity we're going to do is called the storage shed. So this is a little bit different. What you're going to be given is an area, and then we're going to have to sort of work backwards and figure out what would give you the least perimeter. So what you're going to do, you're going to get graph paper, or you don't. If you don't have graph paper or you can't print it out, that's okay too. But I'll attach this. You could just draw a sketch as well. But let's just say, for example, you had a shape, and I'm telling you what the area is. So this is different. I'm not giving you the perimeter. I'm actually telling you that the area is 9 meters squared. So let's draw a couple of different rectangles that would have an area of 9 meters squared. So one of them, for example, could just be 9 units long. So if we think about something else, the reason that it has an area of 9, this is 1 and this is 9. So I know that area is length times width, and that's 1 times 9, and that's just 9. 9 meters squared. Okay, if you're asked now to go backwards, so we're giving you the area and start with the area, now I want to know what the perimeter of that shape is. I have 1 at the top, I have 1 at the bottom, and I have 9 on each side. So you've seen maybe length plus width, or 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, but we have 1 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9. You don't have to put them in that order because we're adding them all up anyway, so it's not going to matter. But 9 plus 9, that's 18, 19, 20. So we have a perimeter of 20 meters. So we started with the area, and then from there we came up with what the perimeter is. If we think of another one that would be 9 meters squared, the only one I can think of right now is 3 by 3. So again, for this activity, a square is going to also be classified as a rectangle because it still has 4 sides. The opposite sides are parallel. So I know just by 3 times 3 that the area of that shape, when I do length times width, I get 3 times 3, which is 9. So that also has an area of 9 meters squared. So then if we go backwards to find the perimeter, so Fence Fido Inn and down by the bay, you started with the perimeter. Now we're starting with the area, and we're trying to find out what the perimeter is. So the area is going to be a set number, and in this case, just as an example, it's 9. So if I look at perimeter, I have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So I have 2 lengths and 2 widths, and I add that up and I get 12 meters. Again, what you might notice is that the areas are the same for both of these. This area is 9, this area is 9 meters squared, but the perimeters are not the same. So that's what I want you to figure out. Notice that if you were going to, let's say this was going to be a storage shed, and you were going to build this shape, you would need more material to go around the walls for this shape because it has a perimeter of 20 meters around. This shape, I have the same area. It's still 9 on the inside. This one was 9 on the inside. Still an area of 9 meters squared. But when I look at my perimeter to go around this shape, I'm going to need less material. Now I think that's kind of important, right? So if you're going to build a shed, you would have the exact same area with these 2 sheds, but the distance around this shed here, where it's 3 all the way around, the distance around that shed is going to be shorter. So it would be cheaper. And that's really important if you're building something someday. So your activity for today is looking at the storage shed. So the storage shed, you're given 60 meters squared. That's the area. So I want you on graph paper or just with a sketch to come up with different rectangles that would multiply the length times width. So remember, length times width, those 2 numbers have to multiply by each other to give you 60. Right? So I'm thinking an example would be 10 by 6. If your shed was 10 this way and 6 this way, 10 by 6, 10 times 6 is 60. So that would have a floor space of 60 meters squared. Okay, so I want you to come up with some different ones and fill in this table. Table's a little smaller this time. Different lengths and widths, and again, same rules apply. 10 by 6 is not any different than 6 by 10. Those are not two different sheds. That's just facing the other way. So you'd have to come up with 6 different floor spaces. And then the perimeter is what is going to be different, but the area, these will all be 60. Okay, so it's different. We're looking for the least perimeter, it's called, because if the perimeter is really small, then it's actually a cheaper shed to build. And then there are a couple of questions on the back to try and figure out if this was a square, what the side lengths would be, and then thinking about a circular floor, if that would be any better, what would the perimeter be of the circular floor? You know the area is 60. Remember, area for a circle is pi r squared. So you know the area is 60. We want the perimeter of that circle, or the circumference.